So here we are. It's one of those wonderful West London Wednesdays, and it's number 2 race in Series 7. That's 7.2. We've got a brand spanking new course for you, Windsor Park Ranger. This tours around Windsor Great Park. We can have a look at this in real life. Actually, we've spread it up. So here's the aerial view, and we're just going to have a look at the course. Windsor Great Park is actually Royal Park, so the King effectively owns that, or the Crown, whoever's the incumbent. We're going to do this big loop around the park, so it's sort of kind of around the perimeter and inside, and it goes back where we started. Then it leaves the park, zooms down this hill here very, very fast, and then sort of follows the River Thames. You can see the River Thames there, crosses it there, goes down the side and finishes up there. Now there's some tight bends near the end. There's that big descent, but it's dead flat other than that. And this is what it looks like in real life. This is the park. You can see it's nice and traffic free, or relatively. Get a few horses and pedestrians and dog walkers and stuff like this. This is the perimeter of the park, so just outside. Go back in the park, up this little hill here, past the polo pitches, and back into the woods, and eventually leaving the park, we go out again. And this is the finish with the tricky bends. It's a bit more sort of, I say suburban, it's probably villages is probably the fair way to say it, and then those tight bends to the finish. So that's what it looks like in real life. At 1 minute 30 to the start. Just a quick reminder of who's leading. Wouter Clays with 100 points, only one race for run, so it's very, very open. You can see not a lot of points dividing anybody after one race. We put everybody up there. R3R are the team leaders, 10 points ahead of Moonriders. OTR coming up in 3rd place, in Glasgow United, ever present, just pipping Resio Racing Orange at the moment. Team Sands from South Africa, New Zealand, just pipping West London VR2 ahead of React Pedalers and West London VR1. So 58 seconds to go. Let's have a look at the starting line-up. Now, we have been a bit plagued today by the fact that RGT did a very big update yesterday, and people are struggling with it a little bit. It isn't too bad, but it isn't obvious how it operates, and it effectively makes you have to replace the app on your PC or Mac rather than just upgrade it. That certainly confused a few of us yesterday, and people missed the start in our team TTT on the OTR series, and I suspect that's going to hinder a few people tonight as they try and get in. Never mind, I think there's 54 online, so 54 people managed to do it the day before and or in enough time to get through today. Just under 100 sign-ups, so about 50% of the people getting through that. They're off now. This is reasonably flat at the start. Somebody stuck on the line there, looked like one of the female riders perhaps. Rob Miller I see up the front with Alistair McAlpine. There's a little bit of a group up there. There's quite a few R3R riders in there. This second group that we're on at the moment, 19th back, a little bit of drift, and Josh the Canadian is just ahead of Marianne Marisek, Johan Olofsey, Mark Rowbottom, King Tubby, Alistair McAlpine, Johan Vanner. I didn't think he was going to be here tonight actually, and he is. I think he was on holiday, so he must be. And Jeps Sneva and Piers Soderberg all up there in that group. A few Scandinavians I see, and Australians and New Zealanders. Now will this form into a group? We're on Sam Josh at the moment, and he's in second place, the Canadian. Mark Rowbottom's pulling out a little bit at the front there. And now we really need to understand how many are in this group, because I think this is quite a decisive moment along this flat section. Now it's slightly undulating. You could see for a moment there, Mark Rowbottom's got a little bit of a lead there, hasn't he? And you can see the little bunch, and there's a few people just trying to get onto that bunch now, and it's make or break for those people, I'd say. There's somebody in a white jersey just looking like they might not make it. The other two just in front are closing the gap. I think two are going to get on, and the third one isn't. As they go over some of the road logos there, are the two just behind the group going to make it on? I think they are, but the third rider not. So that leaves us with a group probably of about 20 riders, I'm guessing, that have got away in just the first sort of 1.5 kilometres, really. So that's quite a breakaway early on, and I think the two at the back have made that junction, haven't they? So about 19 riders, we're guessing, in this group, and this is going to be decisive, I think. Everybody else really needs to form up into a second group. Oh, look, here's the two. I think these are the two riders we talk about just getting on. One of them certainly just did, and little bit of a sort of gap there, but I don't think that will matter. The Ratio Racing rider just pulling up there, Per Soderberg for OTR. So about 21 riders, I would guess. Looking at there's an ECKD rider just behind Pers. Pers with the Swedish flag there as we look at this group. So yeah, I mean, we're looking at 19. Oh, there's somebody just off the back, and that's going to be painful. That's going to be very hard to get on, but a bit of effort now will be worth it. You can see them just putting that extra bit of effort in, and it's Carl Axelsander person who's the person trying to get on the group, and it must be absolutely painful as the gap is not really diminishing, and he's working very, very hard. Maybe it's slightly diminishing as he gets on to be the 21st person on the group, getting a little bit closer, but it must be taking a lot out of him. He will probably pay the price for this later, but it's probably worth the effort if you can get on, just because he can sit on the back, and he's made it. So 21 in the lead group. Wonder how far back the others are. Well, we're looking at 70 metres back to Al Barra, and who else we've got? Jimmy, David Buckley, 127 metres. Barra's actually with Mike Wareham there. They're about 80 metres behind Carl Sander. David Buckley just coming up to join with Jimmy, Mathieu and Askins. These riders would do well to get into a little bit of a group here and work together. I think that's the best thing they can do, as we've got 13.8 kilometres left to go. We've only ridden 2.5 at the moment. Looking back, Medley, Hoskins there, a pair of them working together. There's another duo ahead. If they could get in with those, that would be good. And who we've got coming up here? Brett Smith just coming up, the South African from Slough. I say from Slough, he's currently living in Slough, I think is probably the best way of putting it, in southern England. Just getting onto that little group, working with them in 31st position. 55 riders in the race at the moment. And we see Mendes for Riak, and I think she's going to have a crack at the ladies' title. It looks like the First Lady there in... and there she is, in the blue jersey, in the little group. And that's smart riding. If you can use that group and be the First Lady home, that's going to be good points for her. So looking forward to see how she does. Marianne Schluderek in 38th is just sneaking up into that group. The bigger the group, the better for them. Just under 3 kilometres done for these. Still 13 and a half to go. Chantal Mendes there, as I say, the RIAC ladies team. And who else we got coming up behind Wheeler and Gilmore, Tobias Bjork there, and Canada. No, two Canadians actually, Canada and Novi. Prev, the Belgian, Maria Witsky from Puerto Rico, in 44th position there, and wearing the West London kit, of course. And we're back at 43rd at the moment. 54 riders online. Mark Rowbottom now at the front with Yep Snaver, and I don't think Yep was. I'll tell you who's not here. I haven't seen. Actually, we see Easton and Snaver. I think they're both. I think they're brothers-in-law or something like that. So they're related somehow. Wouter Clay's not here, and Wouter was doing, I believe, the Liège-Bastogne-Liège Sportive on Saturday, and if he's not in the race, that will explain why. But he could lose his top position here quite significantly by missing a race. You know, you're actually better off to be in a race. So I haven't seen Wouter Clay's in here, and he could be sacrificing top spot at the moment. So clutch of R3R jerseys in there. If they've got orange helmets, they're part of the R3R second team, and the R3R main team are in black helmets. So you see the R3R jerseys, a couple of orange helmets there and one black helmet. So two different R3R teams, and there's more orange helmets than black helmets in there at the moment. So that's interesting, as this group not tight, but keeping together well enough, I would say. So that I think it will hold together. Mark Rowbottom going off the front at the moment. We haven't got too many of the sorts of riders that we recognise as people who do go off the front and push it in the race today. So slightly brave of Mark, and I suppose he's calculating it. I mean, he's a strong rider anyway, and it is sort of breaking the group up a little bit. But I don't think anybody's going to drop off that. There are 2 or 3 at the back. Oh, and it looks like Holton already has Norwegian already off the back there. So the group down to 20 by the looks of things. Holton 92 metres back, another 150 back to the group after him, who would probably catch him, I would expect. So Xander Persson just in front of the Glasgow United rider there. James Melville, of course, been in these series since almost the beginning. May in there, Bellio, and as I say, Casper Pedersen in there, and as I say, Jan Vanner, who I wasn't expecting, and Wouter Clay's missing, who we would have expected, the current champion, not in the race tonight, and probably sacrificing first position in the series. So points to be grabbed for everybody else. I see Cole Dickerson for South Africa New York, just ahead of Snaver, Marion Marasek, Alistair McAlpine, Casper Pedersen, and James Melville, all in that top 10 at the moment. Now you can see at the bottom of your screen they've just gone up one of those little undulations. You can see it's sort of slightly undulating. Probably the top one coming up very, very shortly. This is just after the lakes, and it's probably a bit unfair to ask you to remember what we saw in that very, very fast real-life preview that we just showed. But there was one little ramp up from, you go over a little bridge and there's a ramp up from some lakes just before the polo pitches. Now that's the brown section that they're coming up to soon. Now I don't think it's incredibly steep, but I think it's one of those places, you can just look at that map, that is a place to attack. It goes slightly darker orangey brown than anywhere else, suggesting the gradient's a little bit steeper than any of the other little brown sections. And it's also the longest. So you could probably shed a couple of riders off the back here, and there's already a little bit of a gap between 12th and 13th, and James Melville's 13 metres back off 11th place. Now it's whether or not this lot can pull together. There's a gap between Olofsson and Melville. Melville just pulling up there, getting alongside Johan, and perhaps pulling back together. So somebody is off the back. The rider in the black I think is safe, but the rider behind that. So this group is thinning. This is going to be a very small group by the end if this keeps happening, and we've got this little ramp coming up now, and it's Oystensen who's off the back, one of the R3R riders, and he's probably not going to get back on there. I think that is a gap that's growing. So down at 17, this eradication and erosion of the group continues as we go down to 17 in the lead group. Xander Persson, the Swede last, May the Frenchman in 16th, Alistair McAlpine, Van Mel ahead. It's all chopping and changing, so as I read it, names I've just read out slip up the rankings as everybody jottles for position with 7.1 kilometres to go. They've just gone up that hill, and you see another rider falling off the back here. It is, I see it's Rob Miller, isn't it? But maybe Rob's getting back on. Rob very much involved in this. He's the organiser of the R3R teams, and nice to see Rob doing well in there. Charming fella. Obviously, I have to deal with him as he puts the teams in for both RER teams, as it happens. But he's in a little group of three that's getting adrift there. Van Mel and Carl Dickerson, they're getting a little bit adrift, and I think that gap might be growing a little bit too much. However, we have the big descent coming up, and it is going to be easier. From here on, this is relatively flat. You'll see it is slightly going uphill, but it is relatively flat for most of this in real life. And I think the gap might even be coming down a little bit as the trio work together. Will the group get back to being 17, or is it going to whittle down to 14? There's not a lot in it. It's only a few metres now. I think they can get back on, although it looks as though Carl Dickerson may not be able to stick with the other two. Rob Miller hauling Oystenson back. This is a Carl's now working very, very hard to do this. South African New Zealand rider made up of teams of South Africans who live in New Zealand. I think Carl's in a bit of trouble now. I don't think he's going to make that. He didn't stick with the other two. The other two look like they're going to get it. We're under the halfway banner now, and it's very gently uphill, 0.1, 0.2 gradient, which feels twice as hard if you're in Carl's position where you are chasing a group, and I think that is going to be hard. And I don't even think the other two have quite got on the group in front of them. So I think that is now a tricky decision for Carl. Does he wait for the groups behind? There's some quite big gaps. I mean, if you play your cards right, just wait for the next few, get into a little group, you can be pretty much assured of perhaps finishing in the top 20, because if you look at the big gap, Jones at about 239 metres behind, but then 510 for Holton and 21st. So, up at the front, James Melville, who likes to spell on the front, he's ahead of Mark Rowbottom. Snaver, the Dane, is in third place. Marion Marasek, the Pole, Jan Van Ordenaard, and we weren't expecting him today. We were told he was probably not going to be coming, but he's obviously played a bit of a sort of a trick on everybody and turned up, and it's Wouter Claes that's missing. It's the big name that's missing, and we see the Jesper Pedersen now, the ECKD rider, just pulling out that gap. Per Soderberg, the Swede, just coming in as well. This is not tight. The pressure on the front, and you look at the speed at 37 kph and a 0.2 gradient. Slightly drag, slight pressure on the pedals, but we've seen faster races than this, so maybe that little gradient is taking its toll more than I would have expected. But the other riders now pulling up and getting back on that group by the looks of things. Little gaps appearing, but they're getting closed down all the time, so the group is largely staying together, although we are looking like we're in a group of 14 now. So Rob Miller are now 122 metres behind, Carl Dixon 127. So neither of those two obviously got back on the group, and it's down to 14 riders, and King Tubby just behind could make it 15, but it doesn't look like it looking at that gap. We still have 54 riders online. Carl Xander Persson is falling off the back a little bit. You can see him getting out of the saddle, putting in that effort to get back on. Can he do it? King Tubby with insight. This must be agonising. You can see the group in front. We have to work. You have to ride faster than them to catch up, obviously, and that is very, very hard. You've got no draft, and I think that is probably about as close as King Tubby's going to get. 35 metres back now, and it's a case of who can stay on here. Xander Persson now just getting back on, but you get the impression that he might be fighting to stay on there, and you look at the shape of the group, the last 4 or 5 riders all strung out, fighting to stay on, but the pressure being put on the front. I think it's Josh and one of the R3R riders now pulling away at the front. So, and again, Johan Orlovsky, another couple of riders off the back, 14, but it's looking like a fight to stay on. Probably worth the effort though. Rob Miller now quite a way back, 170 metres. Carl Dickerson too. Bellio from OTR, 400 metres. So up to 17th, if they all stay together, they can do it. James Melville now, the man putting on the pressure at the front, 41 kph, and he's putting out 4.1 watts, and that's putting a bit of pressure on everybody else. Mark Rowbottom from Ratio Racing leading them back in front of Bert Soderberg riding for OTR this evening, and it's the black helmets of the main R3R team and in there, and that is Snaver, and he is followed by Kurt Pedersen from ECKD. Who else have we got? And Jan van den Oord is also in there for R3R. So R3R with 2 riders in the front group. Mark Rowbottom now in being featured, and Mark is pulling away in first place for Ratio Racing. He's got Marion Marisek with him. Is this a better teamwork? We ask ourselves. The Frenchman mate is going with them in the pink jersey there, taking the draft. Very cool too. 5 kilometres to go. Ratio on the attack. They talk to each other during the race. They know what they're doing. They do coordinate their moves. Was this planned? Now this is the big descent, and they've been around the tight bend on it. And will this cause problems? You can actually break groups up in there. The group now are getting smaller and smaller as they make use of this big descent. Let me tell you, this is quite a long descent for quite a long while. In real life, it is one of the joys of going out for a Sunday ride if you come back this way. Not so much if you come out this way and have to go up it, particularly as the last bit's a steep bit. When you're coming down, the last bit being so steep gives you a great deal of momentum, although there is a sharp left-hand bend at the bottom. But they've been through that now. They're making the most of it. They're going very, very fast. There's probably only something like a dozen riders, maybe 12 riders in this group, maybe even less. And the winner is going to come from this group. 4 kilometres to go. Now it'll get very flat. 11 riders in that group. Just 11 riders now in that front group. 120 metres back to Johan Orlovsky with Van Marl with him. A further 200 metres back to Rob Miller now. And still the pressure on the front is stretching the group. It's Mark Rowbottom yet again for Ratio Racing. And R3R had their hearts broken last time by Wouter Clays. Could it be Ratio Racing this time around? I see a fight back here coming from the R3R team though. It's pressing hard. I'm not sure who it is, but it's an R3R rider looking like they're going to go past Mark Rowbottom at the moment as the rest fight to stay on, battling this out. It's ragged, but it's Jan Vanna, the man we didn't think was coming. 2 R3R riders up there in that top 5, alongside Addison McAlpine for Glasgow United. OTR, Per Soderberg, the Swede. Another Ratio rider coming up now. This is Marion Marisek now joining Mark Rowbottom. Ratio 1-2 on the front. Will they be working together? Is this a play for Marion to get the win? Sitting on Mark Rowbottom's wheel at 3 kilometres to go. I don't think it's been played out yet. I think they are working together, but I think there's too many variables as Jan Van den Oord catches up. May, the Frenchman now in the pink jersey, absolutely thrashing it. Putting out some heavy watts to make that junction, but settling down to a more normal wattage as the group reforms. Xander Persson stayed on. That's fantastic. Fighting to stay on earlier on, and he's still there in 11th place and can probably be reasonably assured of getting that 11th place at the very least now, with only 2.7 kilometres to go. If he can hang on past the 2 kilometre mark, I would guarantee that everybody in this group is going to get a top 11 place. As we go through a smaller crowd, they clap and cheer as the WahooRGT bottom into. It adds a bit of atmosphere, doesn't it? And we're going around these bends now. This is how it finishes. Somebody's fallen off the back. It's Glasgow United rider. It's James Melville, but I think James is strong enough to get back on. May the Frenchman now is in second place, just sitting on the wheel of Josh the Canadian. Somebody has steered out to the other side. This is to make the most of the bends. You can get an advantage on the inside of the bends, and I think Josh has missed the point there. Not everybody will be using the steering. I think it's advantageous if you do, but if you go onto auto steer, it will sit you where you are. And I think, and of all people, it's Xander Persson with 2 kilometres to go, who's gone out the front now. He's looked like he was clinging onto the group at points. We were discussing dope roping, which, if you're not familiar with the term, is basically what Muhammad Ali used to do, look lost and beaten on the ropes, and then when the opponent was tired out, would suddenly come out and knock him down. Well, this is dope roping at its best if he can win this. 1.7 kilometres to go. It's a long way to go. Mark Rowbottom's decided he's not going to let that go without a fight. He's pulling back, but these two are clear off the field. There's still a way to go. A bunch can still get up a good sprint and catch them. We've seen this before. Xander Persson is getting caught very, very quickly by Mark Rowbottom. Maybe that was a bit too early. 1.5 kilometres to go, but Mark's not quite got on yet. The gap back to the others now, a good 50 metres. That is probably... Well, yeah, I don't know. That is in the balance. I think if the group really does work together, then... But is it going out? McAlpine's certainly closing it. Some riders closing it. I think we're probably going to get 2 or 3 riders make the juncture. Alistair McAlpine looking like he's going to do it now. In third place, but closing rapidly. So we've got a battle of 3 at least, I think, in the line. On the line as we go through the Flamme Rouge. So 1 kilometre to go. 3 riders contesting at the moment, but I think there are probably others chasing. Can they close it down in that 1 kilometre? McAlpine not really making up any new ground. 4th place May is now quite a way off. I think that's going to be too much to make up with 900 metres to go. So the top 3 are going to duke this one out. McAlpine not quite on. Still a few metres behind the other 2. Xander Persson is at the front. Mark Rowbottom's not taking the best draft here. Xander Persson is pulling away really strongly. And this looks like a fantastic win. Mark Rowbottom may not giving up yet. With 500 metres to go, we've seen great sprints, and I've got a feeling Mark's closing that gap. I think he's going to close that gap. 400 metres to go. It's holding at about 40 metres at the moment. Alistair McAlpine not really making anything up on Mark at the moment. 330 metres to go. Can Mark Rowbottom make it over to Carl? I think Carl's gone clear as we go round the last of the tight bends. 200 odd metres to go, and Carl's under. He does a nice wave. 100 metres to go. You can see the finishing line. He's going to do it. What a win! That was superb. To cling on the back like that for so long and take a win. Mark Rowbottom deserved second, and Alistair McAlpine third, and leading the rest. Marian Marisak, is he going to get pipped on the line? Oh, I think he might have got pipped on the line by James Melville there. May take and sort of getting 11th. Erlofsey and Van Maal now duking it out for 12th and 13th. They've got 250 metres to go. Looks like Van Maal is just taking the wheel as they go round this bend, just sitting up. They lose a little bit of momentum. Van Maal's gone for it with 130 metres to go. Will Johan respond? Johan not responding yet. Looks like Van Maal's got a leap on him. There's still 50 metres to go. Johan is fighting back. This is going to be tight. Bit too late. Rob Miller for RPR's other team. Coming in 14th, Carl Dickinson having to settle for 16th in the end from South Africa, New Zealand. But obviously, despite getting dropped, they kept themselves well out from the following groups, so have earned their results and their points. Now this is going to be a fun one, isn't it? As we look at this, these guys. But first, let's have a quick recap of the top 10. Lau Mao in 10th, the Frenchman Jan Vanna 9th, Kurt Pedersen just behind Sam Josh in 7th. We didn't quite catch her. Yep, Snaver, another R3R rider in 6th. Marianne Marisek, as we saw, 5th, behind James Melville. Alistair, and only just behind James Melville, brilliant sprint. Alistair McAlpine, Mark Redbottom, and of course Carl Axel Zanderperson. What a superb win. What a superb win. Let's go back to the action and catch some of the other riders finishing. Webb here coming in, the New Zealander, in 22nd. And that's going to be good points. We've missed Holton and Barra finishing ahead. Or perhaps I haven't finished yet, actually. So Bellio, Jones, Oystenson all ahead. There's Barra in 20th, coming up to the finishing line, 80 metres to go, 20th place, and he's going to be comfortably 40 metres ahead of the next rider, which is Webb, as we saw, 22nd. Sorry, it's Holton at 21st, isn't it? And Webb, 22nd. Mike Wareham, 23rd, 170 metres behind Webb now. Mathieu, Frenchman, behind him. So here we are. Mathieu can see Mike Wareham cross the line, the far side. Oh, the Frenchman just had to hold off Haskins there. So Haskins nearly caught him up. David Buckley in that shot there. Levy at 28th at the moment now, ahead of Meadley. We missed out Tequila, the French rider, there in 27th. This is Levy, the Irishman, with 260 metres to go. Can't really see the riders in front of him, so it's a clear run. He's got 290 metres back to the next rider. This is a very strung out race, isn't it? So everybody having the comfort of not having to, well, I say everybody, a lot of these riders not having the put the effort into a sprint because these places strung out enough. There will be some sprints, so I'm sure, to come. 29th, as we look at Mealy now, coming in with 220 metres to go. Again, comfortably 175 metres back to Tobias York. Tobias, though, is with Brett Smith, two club mates from West London Cycling, battling out for 30th and 31st. They both rode together in the TTT last night, so it'd be interesting to see which one. Oh no, sorry, I beg your pardon. Tobias didn't make it because the update caught him out. So Tobias will have fresher legs than Brett in this one, you would think. But it's Brett who's pulling away with 90 metres to go. So out of the two West London cycling riders, Brett Smith takes it from Tobias York. Perhaps the TTT last night served as a good warm-up. Marcin Schluderek from Roslov in Poland is 32nd. He's comfortably 17 metres in front of Jimmy, but they can see each other. Novi coming in 34th now. And again, nobody needing to sprint now. I think Perth, the Belgian, is the last one of those, though, because it looks like the next batch of riders have a little battle to do, don't they? 130 metres, three of them neck and neck and neck. Wheeler, Cheeseman, and Davidson. And who's going to get it? It looks like Cheeseman is going off the front. Cheeseman pulling away just at the end. Davidson doing the same, and Wheeler settling for third in the group there. Gilmore coming in next at 39th. And Chantal Mendes will be the first lady home in 40th position. I know some of the ladies from West London were having trouble with the apps, and we're discussing it on WhatsApp. So I don't know how many other ladies we've got in there, but I haven't. Let's have a look. As Gilmore comes in, here's Chantal now, taking 100 points in the ladies' competition for the REACT team, which is great news. REACT, the current champions, of course. Chantal will be pleased with that. She's on her own, so she not relying on anybody else's draft. FEB, the rider behind him, Gianon, Canada. Baz Mystery, I see there. Andy Evans at 45th. And I think Andy, I'll have to have a word with Andy. I think he might be riding for West London, but in a white jersey I see there. So I'll ask him in the morning. I know he's signed up with us. So Chantal Mendes now, 150 metres to go, taking the points in the Ladies' League. And here she comes round that last little twist at the end in Datchet, in just outside Windsor and Slough, on the River Thames. FEB, I don't think that's a US flag, is it? I think that might be one of the other flags that kind of looks like it, but I might be wrong. My screen doesn't show it well enough for me to be sure, but in the all-white strip now, with 190 metres to go. I see WahooRGT is in there, 46th position, so she will take the next batch of ladies' points. She's quite a way behind, so probably about 80-something ladies' points, both for herself and the West London team who she's riding for. So FVB now coming in 41st position, which will earn a decent amount of points. Jeanmore, sorry, is he's Glenmore. Glenone, isn't it? Sorry, I'm not even reading it right. It's two N's, not an M. Glenone, and 42nd position. Again, not having to ride, not having to sprint against anybody, as it has got very, very spread out. Canada next in, was riding with another Canadian rider earlier, but fallen back, taking the points for 43rd position. So a good 48 points towards the series. Well done. Baz Mystery is 100 metres behind one of my riding mates, and so got quite a few riders to come in actually. Canada now just enjoying that little bit of crowd hospitality as he crosses the line. There we are. It's the small crowd at the line. Here is Baz Mystery, and Baz will be delighted with that. And I don't think he was riding with our TTT team last night, but certainly out Sunday, leading one of our Sunday ride groups. Here's Andy Evans, and Andy Evans has actually got the West London kit on, I see. Sorry, I didn't think he did. Great stuff, Andy, riding for us for the first time. Well done, sir. Andy, from up there just outside Watford in Bushy, works in Uxbridge, he tells me. So he's right in the area where we run West London cycling from. Well done, Andy. Fantastic result. Great finish. Smerdel, now WahooRGT might actually gain an extra point in the ladies' competition if she can take this position from Smerdel. She's got 160 metres to go. She's gone for it. Smerdel not responding, so she might grab that extra point. The way the ladies' league works, the first lady gets 100. You take away the number of places they fall back, and you give to the next lady 100 minus that many places. So every lady, if she can beat one of the male racers, can get extra points, and WahooRGT has done that superbly. Well done, Maria. Lives in Puerto Rico, rides for West London Cycling. Duplessis from South Africa, coming in 48th position, is going to be comfortably 270 metres ahead of Tina, who is a German. So just flicking back to the next one, and Tino there coming in 170 metres to go, and not having to ride too hard. Actually, Jessica Wright did make it in there, sorry. So Jessica Wright in 50th will be our last finisher, and picking up some more points for the West London team, which will be quite nice. Now 51 points for the team. So here's Jessica now coming in. Interestingly, it's the when I was looking at it on the side, her kit seems to have changed on the side. Interestingly, there must be something wrong with. When you look down the list of riders, the kits. Some of the kits go white, and then they sort of repopulate at other points. So I'm not quite sure what's happening there. I'm sure the WahooRGT devs will be looking at that. Jessica, more than happy to roll in. She loves these races. She is not one of those that kind of needs to win. She just loves being part of it and getting a decent workout, and that's what we like. This is as much about the community as it is about the racing, and people like Jessica make it all worthwhile for us. So Jessica picking up some more points for the West London ladies team. 1.6 kilometres to go. I suspect we're probably not going to follow her all the way home. Let's recap about some of the finishers. We've got some of the results up there now, from 26 to 50, so the second half of the race. David Buckley, 26, not having to use that phenomenal sprint he's got today, though. Thomas Zalesco, I think it's French, isn't it? It says Thomas. 27th, Philip Levy, 28th. Paul Mealy, 29th. Brett Smith, Tobias York, not duking that one out. Teammates from West London. Martin Schuderek is 32nd. Top Jimmy, 33. Lovely name, like that. Didn't realise the T was for top, but cracking name. Christophe Novi, 34th. Samuel Perth, 35th. I think it was Belgium. James Cheeseman, Ian Davidson, Stephen Wheeler, Robert Gilmore, all rounding up to 39 before the First Lady home, Chantel Mendes. And out of the, I think, what did we have? 4 ladies in there, 3 ladies in there. Chantel, Maria, and of course Jessica coming in now. So Frank VB at 41st, Rich Gianon at 42nd, Nikki Canada 43rd, Jessica just coming under the Flamme Rouge there, kilometres to go. Did you do the kilometre? Do you think she can do the kilometre before I get to the bottom of the list? Probably not, actually, because I'm at 44. Baz Mystery, my good friend from Ickenham, just outside Uxbridge. Andy Evans from Bushy near Watford. Maria Cristina Vitsky from Puerto Rico. David Smurdle, 42nd. Johannes Duplessis, 48th from South Africa. W. Tina, 49th. Jessica with 780 metres to go. I think she does enjoy being on these broadcasts as well. So with 700 metres to go, I think if Damon doesn't mind, I think we'll just sit it out and watch her cross the line. We're back in 2 weeks. Yes, Damon. I don't know whether that's a yes or a no, but we come back to the pictures, so it must be a yes. We're back in 2 weeks' time. This was a brand new course. We've got an even more interesting course, 7 laps of the campus at Brunel University in West London next time. That's tight turns, about 6 or 7 tight turns on a crit race with 7 laps. Jessica Wright now with 450 metres to go. So make sure you're with us in 2 weeks' time with ZMS. Thanks very much for ZMS for the superb broadcasting as ever. Damon there in the studio, as you just saw, giving us all a big wave. And as I say, all back in 2 weeks' time. Don't forget, Chase the Yellow is the big one in July that ZMS are putting on. You saw the advert at the beginning. I'm sure one will come up after this. Make sure you know all about it. Chase the Yellow, obviously a reference to the yellow jersey. It takes place in July. And I think if you know a little bit about cycling, you'll be aware that there's a competition with the yellow jersey that takes place every July in Western Europe. Tour de France. So, and it follows some of the courses. I think it looks very fascinating. So make sure you know all about that. Know all about West London VR. We're back next Wednesday. Jessica's just rounded off the finishing positions in 50th place. Well done, Jessica. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thanks to everybody involved, whether you're riding, racing, watching, producing or commentating. Did I just say thank you to myself? We better leave it at that. See you next time.